Hello and welcome. My name is Marty Bach, and this is the open house presentation for AP US History, Period 1. It's very nice to meet you all. Want to start off by just introducing myself. Again, my name is Marty Bach, and my background is I'm originally from the south side of Chicago. Grew up there, right, for my whole life, and went to a high school on the south side known as Brother Rice, which was an all-boys Catholic school that I attended. I graduated from there and then went to college at Northwestern University in Evanston. I graduated from there with a bachelor's degree in history with departmental honors, and then I stayed on for one additional year at Northwestern and graduated with a master's in education. I worked for 1 year in the Chicago suburbs, but most notably at Northwestern, I fell in love with a wonderful girl from Shaker Heights, Ohio. And when she had a great opportunity for law school back in Cleveland, we decided to move, to her hometown. That's when I accepted a job in Hudson, with my first graduating class being the class of 2002. And I've been at Hudson ever since. I've taught a variety of courses within the Hudson Social Studies Department. I am also coordinator of the Service Learning Program for the school, which is an elective for seniors, along with 3 others, as well, 2 English teachers and a social studies teacher. As far as AP US History goes, I've been teaching it for 12 years. This will be my 12th AP US History class. And I'm very excited to have your students this year. I think regardless of what we have thrown at us, we can handle it, we can get through it, and I think it's going to be a great experience. I'm recording this on Friday, August 28th. I have not seen your students yet, and I'm really looking forward to seeing them next week. Really excited to be back in this classroom. I have desks lined up and have students ready to show up. Really happy to be seeing students again. I really am looking forward to it. Little bit about, you might notice my appearance a little bit on the side. So I have 2 boys, Xander and William, and of course we all shut down on at Friday, March 13th. It was always a Friday the 13th. And I kind of made a bet with my son, so I haven't cut the hair or shaved the beard since then. And during the summer, we did a lot of camping. We did a lot of outdoorsy stuff. And so kind of I got a Wild West look going, all right, for them. And they've kind of have a little deal going with Dad in terms of, only shaving the beard or doing that once all of this ends in the near future, which I'm confident that it will. So that's a little bit about me. What you have up on the screen while I've been gabbing the whole time is, of course, you have my name, you have my email address up there. Most notably, you also have my cell phone number. So I will give this to all of your students as well. I am coordinating the service learning program, and we have to give our cell phone numbers to about 90 seniors because they regularly leave the building, and we have to be in contact with them if somebody were to get a flat tire on the side of Route 8 and going to help them or things like that. So I decided years ago, if 90 members of the senior class all have my cell phone number and they have for years used it responsibly, as have I, why don't I provide it to my other students as well? So you can feel free. It seems like in this age we live in that text is the best. But if ever you do need to contact me, you're welcome via email, but you also can feel free to shoot me a text message, or your students can. Sporadically, it happens in APUSH where the student will say, what was this in terms of content, or do I have this date right, or things like that. And I get back to them fairly quickly. So that is there for your usage as well. So moving on to the next slide that I have for you. This shows our AP test performance in Hudson High School of my classes in 2019. I'm using 2019 because last year, 2020, was a little different experience, and I'll explain that in a moment. But if you can see up here, this shows you the AP US History test scores. Many of you are probably aware AP tests are scored on a scale from 1 to 5, with 5 being the highest. You can see the Hudson percentage and the national percentage here on this screen. What I want to emphasize to you is that our students do very, very well on this AP US History exam. And about 6-7 years ago, the administration made the decision to allow freshmen to take a college level course with AP US History. Ever since we admitted freshmen in, the freshmen have shown that they can handle this, and beyond handle it, even exceed expectations. Oftentimes, the freshmen actually score the best of any grade level, sophomores, juniors, and seniors on this exam. I always asked why this was when I started seeing this, because it was counterintuitive. Largely what I've come up with is the freshmen, this is their only AP course. A lot of them are not worried about jobs, serious relationships, varsity level sports, taking an ACT prep course, doing college visits, all of the things that consume an upperclassman's life that pull them in multiple directions. Often the freshmen are more free to focus on something, and therefore our freshmen have done very, very well. So if you're the parent of a freshman in this course, and it is a majority freshman course, know that they can do very, very well, as these numbers show. Last year in 2020, we had a very abbreviated exam due to the shutdown. AP decided just to give a 45-minute essay instead of the 3-hour plus exam. Our performance on that was that we averaged a 4. The whole class averaged a 4. Nearly the entire class passed. And the freshmen, again, scored the highest. So even in the shutdown period with a very unique situation, taking the exam at home and all that was involved in that, our students exceeded expectations again. So I am very confident that your students will be able to do the same this year. Moving on to explain the curriculum. Many of you may have taken AP US History yourselves when you were in high school. It's a course that's been around for decades. I do want to explain, though, that the course was completely redesigned and changed in 2015. So essentially, if you took it before 2015, what your experience was is completely different from what your students will be. Essentially, why they changed it was the idea was, as we move into the information age, they were hearing from colleges, the business world, the information age sector, Silicon Valley, that the emphasis now for employees and people in their 20s is on skills-based ability, less raw content knowledge. So the idea of, in the past, having to know or memorize every president of the United States or the significant battles of World War II or things like that is less applicable in an information age environment than being able to be given evidence, given data, given primary source materials, and then being able to contextualize them or conceptualize them. Of course, in history, this is always an argument, especially politically, because it becomes, well, this person they should know off the top of their head. Whereas this person's not as significant. If they need to find out who that is, they can look it up real quick. And of course, it becomes an argument because everybody has their camps of who needs to be emphasized and be known off the top of their head, and who maybe not be as important. So that certainly gets involved in this. Know that I tend to even provide a little more content than what the College Board curriculum requires. But that's largely a big change in terms of it's more skill-based than just raw content knowledge. To get to that, the next couple points on there, it says analysis, verbal and graphic, and analytical writing. What your students are going to be exposed to more, especially in terms of the assessments, the quizzes, the essays, the tests, and that is they're going to be often given a piece of evidence. It could be a 2-paragraph selection of a speech from George Washington. It could be a political cartoon from the Spanish-American War. It could be a graph of unemployment during the Great Depression. It could be a photograph of people marching in the streets during the Civil Rights Movement. They're going to be given something. And then they will have either questions or an essay to build off of that evidence that they've been given. So the assessments are not the traditional history assessments of who, what, when, where. Who is this? A, B, C, D. What was this? A, B, C, D. When did this happen? A, B, C, D. So this is less rote content knowledge, more here's a piece of evidence. What can you make of it? What forces are going on as part of this evidence? What's the major idea that's being addressed? What would be the counter argument to what's going on in this evidence? More of that is going to be presented to them. As far as the writing goes, the course is writing intensive. When it comes to the exam in May, all but the multiple choice, there's 4 parts. 3 of the 4 parts are writing intensive. Only 1 is multiple choice. What they're going to be doing is analytical writing, looking at evidence. What thesis can they make out of it? What position statement can they take? And they're allowed to take a variety of positions. They just have to have one. So what position can they take? And then how can they use the evidence to build their position and prove their position, right? That's essentially what they're looking for. That's analytical writing. And according to reports in Wall Street Journal, right, and Newsweek, the business world, 90% of the writing that's done for pay in the United States is analytical writing. So that is what they're going to be getting trained in, how to use evidence to build an argument or present an argument. So that's what the College Board was responding to. What are the skills that the business world is saying they could use in terms of writing? In terms of the scope of the course, we move quickly. We move from essentially Columbus and ancient Indians all the way to current times and the Trump administration. We do that in from late August to early May. So we move quickly. So for example, in honors U.S. history, they might spend 2 to 3 weeks on the Vietnam War. We spend 2 days on the Vietnam War. I find that actually a lot of students on the surveys I've done over the years prefer this because what they say is, if we get into a moment of history that I really don't care for, I know we're going to be done with it in 2 days. So we're going to move. So that is the pace. It's a global pace because everybody has the exact same exam date in May. So the entire country, the entire world really, will be moving at the same pace. The kind of sick kind of marker in APUS history, as they say, is that Lincoln often has to be dead by Christmas. Basically, you have to finish Reconstruction by Christmas. If you don't, you're kind of like not on the right pace. So the whole world is moving on a pace that's set by the College Board. Moving on in terms of materials. Now, in terms of the content, the advantage that the students have is they are in a course that last year had 400,000 test takers worldwide. 400,000 students all taking the exact same course and the exact same exam. What that means is in the era of the internet and information, there is a plethora of resources available to them online. I will share many with them. There are podcasts, there are review videos, there are online quiz generators, a whole host of things, many of them free, some of them for pay, that are available to help students. What I always say to students is that at the end of the year, I am training you to jump over a bar that say is at 5 feet, 5 in the exam. However you train to clear that bar is fine with me. And I am also training you to jump over that bar at, say, 5 feet 2 inches, not 10 feet. More on that analogy in a moment. But basically what I'm saying is there's a variety of resources out there to them, whatever they use. So we have visual learners, auditory learners to perform well in the course and the exam is fine with me. I've had students tell me that they got through the entire exam on YouTube videos, that's what they used all year, and it worked for them. Others who told me they had podcasts that they would throw into their phone and go running with earbuds and cross country, and that's what they did for them. So whatever works for your student. However, in terms of required material, what I'm asking is that the students purchase a book called, affectionately, the AMSCO book. This is it, and you can see it on the screen. Oftentimes it's called the Bible of AP because it has that structure. This is the #1 book used across the nation. We do have a textbook for the course. Here it is. Any of your students are welcome to it. They can certainly ask for it, and I will give it to them totally free. I used to give these out years ago. As I said, I've been teaching this for 12 years. But on my surveys, I saw that students responding, 70% never even opening this. And so I asked them, I said, what are you using? They said this. And I said, why? And they said, as teenagers, being very honest, in here, a chapter is covered in 35 pages. In here, they get to the point in 10. And in here, it includes all kinds of exam prep material specifically to the APUSH exam. So I put on a survey. Would you be willing, would you suggest I just tell students to use this? And they said overwhelmingly yes. It will save them a lot of time. So this book is available in our bookstore. It's $22.75 new. You will find it on Amazon. You will find it at bookstores. You will find used copies. Essentially, this book just has to be from 2015 on. You will see there's editions in the upper corner on the front, but as long as it's from 2015 edition on, it will be fine. They made minor changes over the years, but it's not anything that would affect the way I teach the course. So if they can get a used copy, the students sell used copies, say for $10, and it's 2018 edition, that's fine. If they want a brand new edition, fresh, that's fine as well. But this is what I highly recommend they get because it's from student responses, the easiest and most effective way for them to do the course. Moving on in terms of grading. Grading in the course, I split it on a 70-30 split, 70% summative, 30% formative. I've asked over the years about that, and students have overwhelmingly said they prefer the 70-30 split. In terms of homework will be largely reading, again from this, right, and studying. Classwork, and I have that in quotation marks because of basically preparing for the hybrid model, right, that we're in and anything else that might happen. In terms of the actual written work that gets done in APUSH, I focus intensely on the exam in May. The exam has 4 parts. There's 55 stimulus-based multiple choice questions. Then there are 4 short answer questions, answerable in about 11 to 12 minutes each on 1 page of a sheet of paper, written. Then there are 2 essays, one called a DBQ, the other called an LEQ. Traditionally, what I have done is almost all of these assignments are done in class. The writing is done in class. The tests are done in class. So essentially, generally, the only things done at home are reading. The reason for this is so that we replicate the test environment. I can time them and say 5 minutes left on this essay, 2 minutes left on this quiz. And also that, I know that it is them, cold writing this essay or this short answer question. However, in this hybrid model, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be assigning the reading quizzes, which take the shape of the short answer questions on the test, which will largely form the 30% formative grade. Those will be assigned at home, Google Classroom, to be done independently. The same thing will go for the essays. The LEQ and DBQ will be done independently at home. The negative to this is some will say that won't replicate the test environment. The students will have as much time as they want to complete these. And notably, yes, they will be able to do them open note, open book, however they wish. That's true. However, in my opinion, I think it's the best option because to me, if I'm having students in this classroom with each other in person and with me, I want to have social interaction as much as possible. I want us talking with each other. I want us learning from each other. I want us interacting. The last thing that I want is to use our precious time in this classroom to have them come in and say, all right, now sit quietly at your desk and not talk for 50 minutes while you do this essay. So that is why I'm assigning them for home, even though, yes, they're now open. I would much rather prioritize social interaction and human interaction in the classroom. The exception to this is tests, which I have bolded in red. The tests are multiple choice questions. The College Board is very possessive of those questions. They are heavily copyrighted and really legally known never to release them. So I cannot release those at home. So in order to give them practice on this multiple choice, those I have to give in class, in the classroom. I plan probably only to have maybe 7 multiple choice tests all year. And we will do those on alternating Fridays with the alphabet. Those, unfortunately, I must do in a classroom in a quiet setting. But the others, to prioritize human interaction in the class, I figured I'd give those at home. Those are open to be given at home. Moving on to extra credit. Extra credit is available every quarter. It is allowed to bump your grade 2 percentage points per quarter. My extra credit is all related to service projects. So American history is filled with virtue and good citizenship and good character. So in order to emphasize that, if they wish to do extra credit, they have 3 options. They can do the same one every quarter. They can choose not to do this at all. They can alternate them. The first one is a soldier box to soldiers serving overseas. I have a procedure where they use anysoldier.com if they do not know someone in the armed forces, where they can send them a care package and a letter to wish them goodwill. The second is my wife and I have adopted about 5 orphan children who are in an organization called SOS USA worldwide. 2 are in Peru, 1 in Colombia, 1 in Guinea-Bissau, 1 in Uganda, and 1 in India. They can essentially choose any of these children, same idea, send them a letter, send them a small care package to let them know someone's thinking about them. The last is a canned food drive for essentially our local food pantries. As you well know, many of them are in great need at this time. So I have procedures for them to do a canned food drive. Any of those 3 options would work for a 2% extra credit boost to their grade per quarter. Lastly, in terms of grading, what I want to emphasize to you is that your students, especially the freshmen, are bypassing all of high school history. They are moving from 8th to 13th grade. This course is normed against US 101 and 102 at a college level campus. The College Board norms it against that type of course. So they're bypassing to what I call sometimes Hudson University. To that end, I ask that you give them time to grow, to go through growing pains, and to improve. Keep in mind, this course is a marathon. It is not a sprint. The only letter grade that will go on a transcript from APUS history will be the final letter grade in June. No quarter grades appear, no exam grades appear. Only the final letter grade in June. So this is a marathon, not a sprint. So if a student coming out of middle school who has never received lower than an A gets a C or a B on first quarter, know that that is a college level C or B, and that they need time to grow. And that C or B is essentially a progress report letter grade. It never goes on a transcript. So allow them time to grow. With that, I always look at my letter grades at the end of the year, and I report them versus the exam grades reported in July. A 5 is the highest grade you can get in the exam. So imagine a 5's an A. Imagine a 3's a C. Imagine a 1's an F. Over the last number of years, I have tended to be 1/2 letter grade easier than the exam. Meaning a student gets a 3, I often have given them a B-. Student gets a 4, given them an A-. And as I told you at the beginning, last year, most all of our students passed. That means, letter grade wise, almost all of my students got a C or higher in an APUS history course, many of them as freshmen. Focus on the end point in June, not the intermediate points, especially early on. Allow them time to grow. They will get there. Trust me, they will. We'll conclude there. Just a reminder, if there are other questions you have or things I have not covered, feel free to contact me at any time. I'm really excited for this year. I think it really is going to be a memorable one for good reasons. We're going to have a great time, and I'm looking forward to on Monday seeing all of your students on Monday and Tuesday, I guess. Thanks again, and best wishes to you all.